there, this is Lois DeWitt. This is going to be a basic shading exercise. You might have seen the pencil one that we did. In this case, though, we're going to be using colored pencils, and we're going to shade a little bit differently. For starters, I'm going to choose a color. And I have, what I've ruled out here with a ruler is 3 squares right next to each other. They measure 2 inches by 5 inches. So for starters, I'm going to start filling in this square. I'm not going to be really exact with this, but I'll try to keep in the boundaries as much as I can. It's not real important because this is a shading exercise. And the main thing is to get to learn what colored pencils can do. So we've designated these areas for learning this. And if we go a little bit outside the line, that's all right. It's all right by me. I have a package of 12 colored pencils here. In this case, they're Prismacolor. These are very, very good quality colored pencils, and I would recommend that you get good quality. There are several really good brands of colored pencil out there. If you get the cheaper pencils, they're very waxy, and you really don't have a whole lot of pigment in them, and it's going to be hard to do this kind of exercise. What I'm doing here is I'm filling in with the blue. And then I'm just going to leave off on that. I've filled it in enough. Now I'm going to take a brown. It doesn't matter what colors you use. You know, you're going to notice when you work with colored pencils that each color has a certain consistency to it. It's very subtle, but when you work with colored pencils, you will see the difference. You'll feel the difference. This makes them interesting that way. This is a simple exercise. It's great for beginners, just to get acquainted with your colored pencils before you go on to more complicated subject matter. Get the feel of them, get acquainted with the colors, and know what these pencils can do. Now what I'm going to do here is just color in a little bit into the blue. This will teach me what these two colors make. And I'm going to take the blue, I'm going to color into the brown a little bit so you can see what happens when these two colors are blended. And you can, with colored pencils, get some really interesting shaded effects this way by blending the colors, 2 or 3, 4 or 5 colors. Now I'm going to take a third color. In this case, I think I'll choose a red. And just fill in this square here. have to do it with all of the colors. I think if you use 3 colors, you get a really good idea of how colored pencils work. Then you have some sort of skill and technique under your belt, so to speak, so that when you start drawing with colored pencils, you are a little more confident. Bring that into the brown. And then bring the brown, take the brown into the red. So that gives you an idea of how these colors can blend together. Now, the second phase of this will be simply to increase your shading on here so you know how deep the tonality can go. And you can actually build up with a colored pencil a really good solid color. So this is a good thing to know if you want that kind of effect. And you can see how the overlay of color here has changed. And even though colored pencils come in really nice pure colors, but these mixtures are oftentimes what make a colored pencil drawing interesting, because you can get all these subtle tones by layering the colors. Now, on this square, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just building up the brown and shading it so that what this says is, yeah, I can get some light color from this pencil, and I can also get some solid color just by working it over and over again, filling in. And you can see what's happening here with the blue. Colored pencils are a fairly permanent medium. Colored pencil drawings that I did 20 years ago are still really just fine. I didn't always do them on the best paper, so some of the paper is not in the best shape. But if you do a colored pencil drawing on good quality acid-free paper, you've got a pretty permanent artwork. Now we're just taking the red and doing the same thing. Same variation on a theme here. So what this exercise teaches is that, one, it gives you the opportunity to feel what it's like to shade with colored pencils. It presents the opportunity to build solid areas so you get a feel of what some colors can do, or what colored pencils can do when you build up a solid area. brown back in a little bit. So now you've learned what kind of color blends you could get just by doing this exercise. And then another interesting thing you can do, and this works pretty well with a lighter color too, is to go into it like with a yellow. In one of the color areas, you choose a lighter color to see how that behaves with a darker color, and how you can change the whole complex of color by just bringing in a yellow. This will acquaint you with your whole, if you get a set of 12 colors, you can actually just keep on developing this little exercise and incorporate all of your colors. Here's a green. I think I'll put that right there. Now, did you know how rich the color can be when you use colored pencils? Surprise yourself to just choose a color, be arbitrary. Didn't do this all the way across. Should really carry that up like that. Now, what are you learning from this? You're learning, well, I have 3 colors involved here, and look at the effect. And then, of course, we'll want to go over the blue. I'm going to just choose a purple. It doesn't matter what color you choose. It's not really much of a difference at all, is it? Pretty much the same color. It's the same color as the blue. It's a subtle difference. If you're working on paper that has kind of a tooth to it, you're going to get a sparkly kind of effect where the colored pencil doesn't fill in. This works much to your advantage in shading, but when you're looking for solid areas like this, you're really going to have to go in and press down and try to get that white out of there so it isn't distracting. Last but not least, I'm going to take another color and just work back in the middle. Now this is a white. It's really important to know how the specific colors work. So the more colors you can use from the ones that you have, the more acquainted you will be as to what they can do by themselves and in combination with other colors. All of this is useful if when you're doing this, you're really watching what you're doing. You're feeling what you're doing. Your mind is open to possibilities of what the material is doing and what it's telling you. Regardless of what medium you use in art, you will always have a dialogue with your material whether it's doing a collage or an oil painting or pencil drawing, pen and ink drawing, there's always a dialogue going on where the artist is saying, this is, I think, what I want to do. This is what I want to accomplish. And then the material is saying, okay, well, this is what I can do for you. And so you work together with the material. And together, you know, when that balance is achieved, the artwork is successful. The artist says, yeah, this is what I was trying to get to. This is what I've learned from working this way physically. What I'm doing, I don't know how, this is actually a darker green that I'm working into the red. And look at what a nice, rich color is coming out of that. So you could go on and on and on to bring back yellow into this area and bring it right back up. Look at how that changes now. Or you could bring white into this area. And that changes that. And you can bring black into this area. And watch what happens there. So working this way, and you could go on and on and on if you want. Working this way will, the more you do it, the more you will be acquainted with what colored pencils can do for you and what effects you can accomplish with them. I'm having fun. I hate to quit, but I'm going to just go this far with this demonstration.